Big news could be on the horizon for the Toronto Maple Leafs as speculation grows around a potential trade involving veteran winger Jonathan Marchessault. With Nashville reportedly open to moving the 34-year-old, is this a real opportunity for the Leafs to bolster their roster with a proven playoff performer? Let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're passionate about all things Maple Leafs or just love NHL trade talk, don't forget to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive right into this rumor. Jonathan Marchessault is no stranger to the spotlight. Just last season, he lit the lamp 42 times for the Vegas Golden Knights, and back in 2023, he was crowned playoff MVP, helping lead Vegas to a historic Stanley Cup victory. That kind of playoff experience is gold, and exactly what the Leafs have struggled to find. Currently under contract with the Nashville Predators, Marchessault signed a 4-year deal worth $5.5 million per season last summer as part of Nashville's aggressive push that also saw them bring in Steven Stamkos and Brady Shea. But fast forward to today, and there's talk that Nashville could be willing to part ways with him, not because of performance, but to clear some space on their books and reallocate cap resources. According to Frank Saravalli, Marchessault is one of the top names on the NHL trade radar, sitting at number 5 on his list. That's not just speculation, that's a real trade possibility. And this is where Toronto enters the picture. With the Leafs still searching for the right balance between elite skill and postseason grit, Marchessault might be the kind of player that bridges that gap. He brings energy, goal-scoring, and battle-tested resilience, qualities Toronto desperately needs if they want to go beyond the first round of the playoffs. He's not going to replace Matthews or Marner, but he doesn't need to. What he does offer is secondary scoring, veteran composure, and a knack for clutch moments. You put him on a second line or work him into special teams, and suddenly Toronto's offensive depth looks a lot more threatening. Of course, making the numbers work is no small task. With limited draft capital and a fairly thin pipeline of high-end prospects, the Leafs will have to get creative. Nashville might accept a pick and young player in exchange, but they'll almost certainly want Toronto to take on most, if not all, of Marchessault's cap hit. Alternatively, the Predators may retain a small portion, but only if no better offers come in from around the league. Another factor, Marchessault holds a modified no-trade clause. That means Toronto would need to be one of the destinations he's open to. Although, let's be honest, a contending team in a major market like Toronto certainly has its appeal for a veteran looking for another shot at the cup. Now, what's the fan reaction been like so far? Predictably, it's split. Some fans are all in, thrilled at the idea of adding a proven playoff weapon to the roster. Others are concerned about investing in another aging forward with term left on his deal. With 4 years remaining, there's definitely some risk, especially if his production starts to decline over the next couple seasons. But if the Leafs are serious about contending now, then this kind of move starts to make sense. They've built a strong core. They've come close. And now, maybe it's time to add that gritty, no-nonsense presence who knows how to win when it counts. Let's not forget, moves like these send a message to the locker room. They tell the team, we're serious. We believe this group can win. That can have a powerful ripple effect. Whether or not Marchessault ultimately lands in Toronto, it's clear that the front office is exploring ways to shake things up. And with other contenders, possibly Colorado or Carolina, also keeping tabs on the situation, the Leafs might have to act fast if they want to stay in the mix. So, what do you think? Would Marchessault be a smart addition to the Leafs? Is the cap hit worth the upside? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And if you're enjoying the videos, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single trade rumor, breakdown, or reaction. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with more Leafs talk and NHL insights. That depends entirely on how Toronto sees its championship window. With Austin Matthews locked in, William Nylander extending, and uncertainty still lingering around Mitch Marner's future, the front office appears to be entering a decisive phase. The Leafs don't just want to make the playoffs anymore, they need to win in the playoffs. And that's why a move like this, one that might not have made sense 2 or 3 years ago, now feels almost necessary. Jonathan Marchessault brings something you can't teach. That hard-nosed, big-game mentality. He's the type of player who doesn't shy away from the moment. He leads by example. He scores when the pressure is at its peak. And when the games get tighter and nastier in the postseason, he's the guy who shows up. Those traits don't always appear on the stat sheet, but teams that go far, they usually have a few players like him. Now, it's important to acknowledge the Leafs' current limitations. The salary cap is tight. The roster is already carrying a lot of weight from big contracts. And the prospect pool isn't particularly deep, which could make it tricky to offer Nashville something competitive in return. But here's where it gets interesting. Nashville might be more focused on financial flexibility than on acquiring top-end assets. If they can offload a large chunk of Marchessault's contract and receive a pick and a mid-level young player, that might be enough. Especially if they believe their playoff window is further down the line and not right now. So, if the Leafs can find a way to move out a contract, maybe someone like David Kampf or Kaje Jarnkrok, and sweeten the deal with a draft pick, they could make it work without gutting their core. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one trade. It's about building a team that can finally flip the script, a team that doesn't just make headlines in October but delivers results in May and June. And for fans, this is what you want to see. A front office that isn't satisfied with the status quo. A willingness to take risks. To go after difference makers. Because playing it safe hasn't worked. And time is running out for this current core to get the job done. In many ways, Jonathan Marchessault represents more than a potential trade. He's a test. A question. Do the Leafs have the courage to make a bold move now, knowing it could either elevate them or backfire? That's the NHL. That's the gamble. And it's what makes this offseason so compelling. So what happens if this trade actually goes through? Let's paint the picture. Imagine Jonathan Marchessault arriving in Toronto just ahead of training camp. He's walking into a locker room that's still licking its wounds from another disappointing playoff exit, and he's bringing a championship pedigree that very few players in that room have experienced. Immediately, he becomes one of the most seasoned playoff performers on the roster. Sheldon Keefe, or whoever ends up behind the bench, depending on how this offseason unfolds, now has a versatile top-six winger who can play either side, kill penalties, and slot into the power play without missing a beat. Marchessault could line up beside John Tavares to spark secondary scoring, or even be paired with Austin Matthews for a new dynamic combo that mixes grit and finesse. This also creates a ripple effect through the lineup. Young players like Matthew Knies and Nick Robertson may have to battle even harder for ice time, which isn't a bad thing. Depth players like Pontus Holmberg or Noah Gregor might find themselves on the outside looking in unless the team moves out another contract to make room. Cap-wise, it won't be easy. Marchessault's $5.5 million is a big number, especially for a team already squeezed under the salary ceiling. But Kyle Dubas and the Leafs have made bold financial moves before, and if Nashville retains any salary, even 20 to 25%, it suddenly becomes a much more manageable situation. Now let's talk about how this is being viewed around the league. In hockey circles, insiders are calling this one of the more intriguing trade possibilities of the summer. Why? Because it's the perfect storm, a high-performing veteran on a retooling team with playoff pedigree and still two-way ability. That kind of player doesn't hit the market often. There's also the sense that this might kick off a domino effect. If Marchessault is traded, other teams may feel the pressure to answer back. You could see teams like Boston, Tampa Bay, or even the Rangers make aggressive moves to match Toronto's pace. And of course, there's the looming question of Mitch Marner. His name continues to circulate in trade rumors, and while nothing's imminent, any significant addition like Marchessault could hint at larger changes coming.